We are Rogue Media Sports.
It is the Cam Show on Rogue Media Sports Network on this Friday the 13th. Zach, you feeling extra spooky today on Friday the 13th?
Sure.
You're always feeling spooky, brother.
Always feeling spooky.
Anyway,
I didn't notice it was Friday the 13th until you brought it up just right now.
All the days run together, man. I don't know the date. I have struggles with that during football season. There's just so much going on. Like, I will forget friends' birthdays, which I never do outside of football season. So that's kind of a struggle for me sometimes. I get that.
So the goal is to be, if I'm friends with you, is to have a birthday that doesn't fall in football season.
Yeah.
Okay.
And a wedding too. I had to, oh my God, yesterday I had to text one of my friends from high school who is getting married next month. And I was invited a few months ago, and I tried to make it work with this work schedule, but it's a weekend where I have to do 2 games, and I can't make it work. So I had to text him that I couldn't go. And it seems like a reasonable thing, but like, it fucking killed me to do that. You know, it just, and like, I don't know. In the grand scheme of life, I think I'll look back in 25 years and be like, seriously, I did that fucking 27-10 football game instead. But like, I don't know. It's it's my job, but I don't know. It sucked, man. And I've been friends with this kid for years, but I knew it was going to be kind of a small wedding. So I didn't know that I was going to get the invite, and I did. And I don't know. I just felt awful doing that. Speaking of friends who have weddings or birthdays inside football season, that sucked. That sucked to tell them, Zach.
No, I get it.
And also, it's in Massachusetts. Look, I don't want to sound like a violin here, but it's also not easy for me to just financially go and just get a flight for such a quick trip. So I did use the work excuse. Both excuses are true for me. But yeah, that stunk, man.
No, I get that. It's got to sting a little bit, but I think you've laid out the reasons why it's totally fine for you to do that. But
I hope so. It's me just justifying to myself.
Yeah. Well, sometimes that's what you got to do to make yourself feel better.
So I'll still get them a wedding gift.
There you go. See,
I think that's only right. I did get invited.
Yeah.
So I try to be. I try to be. But yeah, that stunk. And I think that's the first wedding I've said no to.
Oh, then come on, man. That's a really good track record. You know how many, this is not saying anything good about me, but you know how many weddings that I've had to be like, oh, sorry.
A lot?
A lot. Yeah. And it was for similar stupid, like, here's the thing is I'm like you in the future a little bit. So you're right.
Okay.
You will look back at those things and be like, oh, I decided to
There are going to be games that are almost certainly inconsequential to my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's nothing you can do about it.
Right. It is my job. I've committed to it. I don't know. It just stinks. But he was very understanding about it. I had to text him. He was super understanding. And so like that took a lot of weight off my shoulders. Anyway, speaking of football, they play it this weekend. Patriots week 2 against Seattle. And Zach, they are bringing back the 2014 team, 10-year anniversary of the Super Bowl champs. That was the one that beat Seattle with the Malcolm Butler goal line interception. So excited about that. Good to see them in the building in Foxborough on Sunday. Little 4:25 game or 4:05 game, East Coast time, because they're playing the Seahawks. And that's where the intrigue ends for me. I find nothing, like, I feel no compelling reason to preview this game, break down this game.
Okay. I can tell you that with our survivor pick, the other side of that,
do those today.
Yeah. Well, I picked the Seahawks because to me right now, I just have no fun watching them as a team. And so I thought, oh, they'll be able to beat the Broncos this week. I'll just get one of those teams out of the way early of using them last week. That was my thought process last week.
I thought you were saying this week and be like, and you're going to be just like Pete. You're going to be a hater. You're going to be done.
No, I already picked him. I'm not picking him again this week. I think that the Pat Magic might continue.
The Pat Magic. We
That's
need a graphic of that. Pat Magic.
It should have been Pat's Magic because
No, Pat Magic.
Pat Magic
I'm
makes
keeping
it
that.
sound like, all right, fine.
The Patrick Magic.
But I
Patrick
get
Magician.
there's no necessarily intrigue here, but I would think that at least as a Patriots fan, you would, I mean, like your chances. It's what, a 3.5 spread?
I
a
liked
field goal?
I liked this one looking back last week much better than Cincinnati. I said when I said they weren't going to win until November 3rd, I said the only shot I think they really have is Seattle. So I guess there is something interesting in that they're both teams that, like, it's kind of funny that we're going to be honoring that Super Bowl team, and those were two great teams.
Is
I
Pete
think
Carroll getting honored too?
I don't
Or-
think so.
Oh.
Former Patriots coach Pete Carroll. No, I don't think so.
Should have ran the ball.
think
Anyway.
I think that is the best Super Bowl ever.
Ooh,
You give me.
I
a
would
look.
disagree.
What are you
I
gonna say
think
it?
at
I'll
least
hear
the
you out.
most fond for me as like a NFL fan, and I was more in as a teenager, but it was the Titans Rams at least the finish to the Titans Rams Super Bowl.
Yeah.
It was crushing as a guy who like rooted for the Titans at the time because the Texans weren't in existence yet. And I'd followed the Oilers there. Like just that 1 yard, it's the huge heartbreak, but it is an exciting way to finish it.
It was
Of
incredible
McNair and
game.
them driving. Yeah.
I got to learn much more about it during the Steve McNair murder documentary for some fucking reason.
How much time they spent on the Super Bowl instead of, well, okay.
I'm telling you, Zach, it was a weird amount of time they spent on specifically that Super Bowl, but also Steve McNair's rise in the NFL. It's a 58-minute documentary, and I swear half of them was about that, and specifically that run to the Super Bowl. And I'm like, dude, we did not need that.
Yeah. Like
all you said, put some highlights. He went to the Super Bowl. He won an MVP. Now let's get on with the story.
Unless it's
a
them,
murder story.
It's them trying to tell all the non-sports fans, hey, this is how good Steve McNair was. I remember how good Steve McNair was.
Right. And we don't need, but I'm saying we don't even need that much buildup.
Yeah.
If you say he went to the Super Bowl and won the MVP, and you have Jeff Fisher, who's in there for a ton for some reason, just being like, this guy was the icon, the first icon of football, pro football in Tennessee, then we're okay. Then me as the non-sports fan, watcher, true crime fan is like, oh wow, this guy was a big deal. He was a celebrity in Nashville.
Yeah.
And then we move on. We didn't
Fair
need
enough.
like all his elusive plays on the final drive of the Super Bowl, as impressive as it was. But I go with the heavyweight matchup of it. The Patriots were loaded that year specifically. Other than how normally loaded they were with the best coach ever, and Brady and Gronk. Gronk was actually playing in that game. Edelman, of course, but you still had Vince Wilfork on the team. You had Chandler Jones. You had
Vince
Terrell
Wilfork.
Revis on that team for the Patriots. That was a stacked Patriots team. And you look on the other side, and this was the best team they ever matched up with in a Super Bowl. The Seahawks were like that. That to me is probably the best Super Bowl matchup of my lifetime, or right up there. Like, obviously, this is right in the middle of the Legion of Boom. They just won the Super Bowl the year before.
Over the Broncos, right?
Yeah.
Was that one? Yeah.
Yeah. That was a sickeningly good defense. Russell Wilson was about the peak of his powers. It still was not a high octane offense, but they always got the job done. That's why I was so I didn't like the Seahawks. Because they felt like a lucky team. They just felt like they kept winning these weird games. Green Bay in that NFC Championship game that year is like dominating the game, but they keep kicking field goals. And so here come the Seahawks with this incredible, game-tying drive, or they go up, and then Crosby kicks the game tire, and then they win it in overtime. The Seahawks do. They had the one the next year where Blair Walsh missed like a 25-yard kick.
Just shanks
at the
it to the
buzzer.
left. A 10-9 win. Yeah.
Like they just kept I felt like the Jesse Pinkman meme. You can't keep getting away with this. You can't keep getting away with this. That was me watching the Seahawks all the time. So a short period of hate, but man, that was just two heavyweight teams back and forth. Some people will say Super Bowl 51 with the big comeback is the greatest ever, and that's pretty great, but this was like almost cinematic, mythical stuff. Two great teams at the peak of their powers, and it comes down to the goal line on the final play in what is, in my opinion, Zach, in what is the greatest championship play of all time. I mean, we are talking the end of a Super Bowl, the most important game in American sports. And never have we seen a game on that stage at that point in the game have one team go from certain victory to certain defeat in one play.
Yeah.
I think it's the best play in NFL history. I know I'm a Patriots homer, but and to be fair,
okay.
And to be fair, by the way, if we're going to judge Super Bowls on that, then Rams Titans is up there, is very close.
True.
Very close. It didn't seem as much of a foregone conclusion, but they were about to score.
Yeah.
So that, to your argument, would be up there. But this is like 10-2. Just get the car in the driveway. You are halfway up the driveway, and the engine falls out of the vehicle. Like that's what this was. And it's the undrafted rookie free agent making the play. The guy who was working at Popeyes like 2 years before. Unbelievable story. This just became a Super Bowl 49 segment.
Yeah. I didn't mean for us to do that, but
I think it's worth it though.
But I do remember Malcolm Butler now because of that.
Exactly. And even a lot of Patriots fans would say, well, Super Bowl 51 is the greatest comeback ever. And I think that's where we need to differentiate. It's the greatest comeback ever. But pound for pound, the game, Super Bowl 49.
There's so much. I like seeing your side of it because somebody who's not necessarily like I was watching as a, like, you know, just watching to watch because I didn't have a dog in the fight. Like the thing that I love most about that is you talk about that being the greatest play in NFL history, which I just haven't thought of everything. So I can't say, oh, I agree or disagree with you. But I do believe that play alone is what started the downfall for a lot of things, though. It was what started Seattle to kind of tank from there.
Sure.
I think that's where Russell Wilson started to turn into the Russell Wilson we are now. Like just the whole story of the play. Like you have Marshawn Lynch. Just at least let him try. Like there's just so many things on the opposite side.
There was some weird stat that like he only scored from the 1 yard line like 1 out of his 5 opportunities that year. But I think you had a timeout.
You have to. But and also at the same time, it's heads up to the Pats D because if I'm somebody, I'm thinking, oh, they're going to give it to their all-pro running back here, but able to be where they needed to be to read what
and they knew
Pete
what play
Carroll
was
called
coming.
to. Exactly.
They knew what play it was. And there's a great, if you've ever seen Do Your Job, it's like following the Patriots coaches during that season. Like they knew all Seattle's goal line plays and they had practiced that a few times during the week. And Malcolm Butler was the guy that was in practice. You know, he's like the 5th cornerback on the team. But they have him and he couldn't jam the route in practice. There's little practice footage of it. It's kind of gives you goosebumps to watch because he can't jam the route. He tries to go under it. And these Patriots scout team wide receivers keep scoring touchdowns. And, that brilliant NFL films. Brian Flores later became the head coach of the Dolphins. He's setting up the goal line package. 3 corners. Malcolm, go. And you can see it from the sideline. It's like, I get goosebumps thinking about it right now because he finally gets it right. You can see it. Brandon Browner and Malcolm Butler are there. And Browner goes, you got to jam him. When this setup, this is what's coming. You've got to jam him and beat him to the punch. And he did it. It was that play is the single greatest sports moment of my life. And therefore, as you know me by now, Zach, therefore, one of the great moments of my life.
Fair enough.
I was a senior in high school. One of my friends did a Super Bowl party every year, and it was just us, like in his basement. There was probably 10 of us. And like it was done. Like it was over. Curse makes that crazy catch. And it's like, this is happening again. I know you don't feel much sympathy for Patriots fans, and I get it. Trust me, I get it. But this was about to be the 3rd straight Super Bowl that we played in that happened. Some crazy catch that you're like, fuck, man.
Oh, yeah, the Tyree one.
We're going to be seeing this on every highlight tape again, and we're going to lose again. Like, how does this keep happening? It was the same end of the field in the same stadium that the Tyree helmet catch was on. Like that, it was over. And it's the first time in my life that I had not had a drink and completely blacked out for a minute. Like I could not tell you what happened in the basement in that moment. I just remember the ball getting into Malcolm Butler's hands, and the next thing I remember was like had to be like a minute later. Like I don't remember any of it. It was absolute pandemonium.
See, listening to you talk about that, like I can see then obviously, at least I didn't know about the story of him not being able to jam it in practice beforehand,
Oh,
because that does add
it's
to
great.
it.
It's complete
But
Patriots
like
porn.
hearing you
Yeah.
talk about that reminds me of one of my favorite sports moments, which funny enough has to deal with your team too.
Oh,
And
no.
it's from the
Oh,
beginning.
no.
No. It's a good one. I think you'll like this.
Okay.
It's from the 4 Days in October documentary. And I love it when Kevin Millar is going around telling them they better not let us win tonight. Like, I can't remember it all. Just everybody's like, game 5, we got whatever. It's like Pedro game 6,
We
Shill
got Pedro game 5,
5.
we got Shill game 6,
and
and
game
anyone
7
can go
was
game
game
7.
7. That's what it is. But I just
Tell
love
Shaughnessy
him.
we can have you out there batting 9.
I love him just going to all the reporters, just telling them that. And so, like,
Just put us to bed.
yeah.
Don't let us win this game.
And
yeah.
so Butler not being able to do it all practice long, but then when it comes down to it happening, of him being able to play it perfectly the way he did is just that's awesome.
It's like the ultimate orchestra of Patriots porn. Because it's all the things that made the Patriots great. And it's all the shit that is like cliches, but the Patriots used to win championships in terms of, ignoring any of the outside noise, just doing your job. You hear every coach saying now, do your 111th. And it's such a cliche, but it's like that was it. And Malcolm's job was to jam that play and, winning games on the practice field rather than on game day. Like they knew that play was coming when they lined up in that formation. And yeah, to me, it's the greatest Super Bowl ever. It is. And I'm glad that that team gets honored as if they haven't enough, but that's cool to bring them back out. 10 years ago, man. That just reminds me that I was a senior in high school 10 years ago. Which makes me kind of feel like shit. So I don't find much more intrigue to this game other than the fact that like the Seahawks are also in a rebuild in a different way. The Patriots are in a better position because they have the top 5 quarterback already, like ready. Well, not ready to go, but you know what I mean? Like waiting in the wings. And so like the Seahawks and the Steelers have been on the same plane the last like 3 or 4 years. Those are the teams I think of just limbo mediocrity that are trying to rebuild without sucking. And I don't know that you can do that in the NFL these days. There's something to be said about the franchises or the coaches or the GMs that just keep winning. So there's something to say for Mike Tomlin in that sense with the Steelers. But at some point, I think you do kind of have to come close to bottoming out if you want to get that quarterback. At least that's what we've seen in most cases in the NFL now. It obviously didn't happen with the Chiefs. Nor the Eagles, but there are definitely some other cases. The Bengals absolutely had to bottom out in order to get to the Super Bowl. So I think that's now kind of the way the NFL is going. I do want to play one of our clips real quick, Zach, before we get out of this segment, because I caught a little bit of Thursday Night Football on the cable replay after I got back from my high school football game last night. And I was surprised to see, I don't know why I was surprised to see, but it was just so bad last year, but it is still Al Michaels and Kirk Herbstreit. And Herbstreit is a good analyst. Don't get me wrong. But why is he doing both the NFL and college football? Like, I swear I thought he would have quit the NFL after a year. And why does ESPN let him do that? I don't know. I'm sorry, there's not enough hours in the day to be that well-versed on both of those leagues. There's just not, especially with the diverse, array of games he could be covering in college football. But a sad moment that kind of gets something funny out of it. But Tua goes down again, man. Another concussion. And this is like career rethinking stuff for a guy who just got a ton of money. When is it not worth it anymore? I know it's the game that you've made your living off of, but this is like getting kind of scary for this kid. And Al Michaels makes an interesting comment about this once he goes off the field.
Guys, the Dolphins tell us Tua Tagovailoa will not return to this game. He has been ruled out with a concussion. They were able to determine that just 6 minutes after he left the field and went into the locker room.
Yeah. Little irony there. He got hit by Damar Hamlin, who, you know, that history. It was legal, the whole thing, but it's unfortunate. The only good thing for the Dolphins now is they get a mini bye week, so they don't have a game for 10 days.
I think Al is in that stage of life where he's like, I'm too old to give as many shits as I used to. I guess there is some irony there that Damar Hamlin, who looked like his career ended on the field in a very different way, it looked like his life was ending on the field, might have dealt a crucial blow to Tua's career. I don't really I get it, but they're not nearly the same thing.
No.
So like if someone rolls their ankle on a Damar Hamlin tackle, are we saying the same
But
thing?
is it just him being like, oh, that's something? There's another player who's gone through something tragic who made the tackle. I think that's I think that's the connection there.
I guess.
Which I guess it's, you know, it does link them together.
Dude, I feel for Al, man. Al is the best play-by-play guy of all time, in my opinion. Like any sport he's done, he has nailed it for decades now. And in fact, maybe his best ever call is that Malcolm Butler interception. For guys who have done the craft, like Pete Souza, we're going to have in the show later, would really appreciate this. We're talking about a rookie, undrafted free agent who had been in on a couple snaps in that game. And the biggest play of the year, Al Michaels has it right away. Pass is intercepted at the goal line by Malcolm Butler. Lets it breathe. The undrafted free agent rookie out of West Alabama. He has it like that. That's preparation. Like it's a pretty great call for those who even don't appreciate that kind of thing. But for those of us who do, it's one of the best calls ever. He's right the fuck on it. And so it's sad that Al Michaels, clearly hates Kirk Herbstreit and couldn't give half a shit about this Thursday Night Football broadcast. It's sad, man. It stinks. This is the guy who called the fucking Miracle on Ice, for God's sake. And he's out there doing Thursday Night Football on Prime with Kirk Herbstreit, and it's sad. And I swear, oh man,
I have my if he's done moving it around. Okay.
Can I talk?
Good. We got to come out of this in like 2 minutes. So yes, you can talk. I want you to talk.
I first of all, I love that Al Michaels is on Prime because I can literally drop in and hang out with one of my favorite play-by-play guys of all time.
Shut up. What are you saying?
So what I'm saying,
drop in and hang out like I'm on the couch with Al Michaels.
That's the idea. And I think that's I love Al Michaels could call games. Literally, they could roll him out there. I wouldn't mind.
Essentially, that's what is happening right now.
And why do you think? Because I'm interested in this. Why do you think he hates Kirk Herbstreit?
I mean, man, you could tell. I mean, you've listened to sports talk radio for years. You can tell when the guys don't like each other, even if it's successful.
Okay.
I can tell. Like there are times where I can find times where you and your color commentator aren't the best of friends. You guys are both professionals, like Kirk and Al are.
Yeah.
So maybe the casual fan doesn't notice, but like. If you're not having a laugh with them at any point in the game.
Yeah. All right. That's all. That's all.
And
that's a good
by
point.
the way, I'm so old, man. I'm kind of sick of Kirk Herbstreit bringing his dog everywhere.
I'm not yet, but
I love dogs, but I'm just like, we get it. You've got a dog. It's cute. If he brought that in the booth with Al Michaels like he does with fucking Chris Fowler, man. Al Michaels could be the greatest dog lover in the world, but he's a pro. He called the Miracle on Ice.
I don't know what.
Get this fucking dog out of here! I'm trying to do my job.
I'm listening to Al's book. I'm right like towards the middle of it. It's awesome. He's great. He's the best. Yeah.
Like the Miracle on Ice is obviously his most famous. The Butler call. If you want to talk about nailing something in the moment that's completely out of nowhere, like the Malcolm Butler interception, the motherfucker, like right away, we're having an earthquake while we're on the air.
Yeah.
He nails that too. He's like, he's the best ever. That's why it sucks, man. That's why it sucks to see this. And I do kind of respect he kind of doesn't give a shit. He's like, yeah, DeMar Hamlin.
I thought, that's what I wanted to say. I thought that's what I thought too. Literally, the first time I saw that, I go, is that
Would
DeMar?
you say it as an announcer?
I go, is that DeMar Hamlin? I might have backed off because there's too much of DeMar Hamlin's thing was so serious. I probably would have backed off, but it's totally worth. I would have said it if I was in the room with you guys. Yeah,
we would have had like a laugh about it.
Well, I just think you could say, because I was even listening to Good Morning Football, and what's his face? Kyle Brandt said that. He was saying, of all people, runs into, of all people, DeMar Hamlin, and that was all.
I guess, but then we're going to be saying that for like every hit he makes. You know what I mean? As a broadcaster, that's the way I'd be thinking about it.
Well,
as a play-by-play man myself.
Well, think about this. I mean, what if that's the end of Tua's career?
It could be.
He ran into DeMar Hamlin. That's quite the irony. That's all.
Yeah, I think it would be ironic if it was DeMar Hamlin hitting the guy that hit him. That seems more coincidental than irony to me.
All right, I'm done.
We're going to hear from Pete later in the show. I got to talk Red Sox. We had a Red Sox free agent / trade proposal on the table this morning for this offseason that is really tickling my nuts a little bit. I want to go through that on the Cam Show next. It is the Cam Show. It's Rogue Media Sports Network. And coming off another Red Sox loss last night, it is maybe time to start thinking about the offseason after I told you, Zach, the other day that they were back after that walk-off win. Yesterday, I told you they were back.
Yeah, I saw Soto last night.
And look, they're still there. They're still alive. I didn't really love their chances even after taking 2 out of 3 from Baltimore, but they are still mathematically there. 12% is not bad at this point in the season. But anyway, there are some thoughts shifting to the offseason, and part of that is because of a Ken Rosenthal story that came out this morning about a potential target for the Red Sox, and that would be Alex Bregman. The Astros third baseman is going to be hitting free agency in this offseason, about to be 31, I think. I think that's right, and definitely is already 30. Yes, that's correct. He'll be 31 next year. And Rosenthal, kind of a bombshell a little bit. He's thinking the Red Sox could sign Alex Bregman, move Rafi Devers to first base, and trade Tristan Casas for a starting pitcher from Seattle. They've got a few that are going to be on the block, I should say. And the Red Sox need starting pitching.
Like one of the young ones?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because, I mean, Casas was your first baseman of the future, put up a real rookie of the year bid last year, was hurt most of this year, but is a guy who is still on the ascent. He is still getting better after dominating the Olympics a few years ago. I don't know that he's going to be a 30 to 35 home run guy, but his on-base numbers are great. He had a great slugging year last year as well, but missed most of the year. And the thing with the Red Sox is, we've talked about it the last few days, they've got prospects coming up. I remember they did this in the early 2010s. They had a first base prospect who was ready to make the majors. So Casas has been in the majors. This kid was ready to go. And they had a couple of good youngsters come up the few years before. They had Pedroia, they had Ellsbury. They had a couple coming up through the pipeline, like Daniel Bard and Bogarts and Josh Bailey. But they had some guys who were ready to go, and they needed to shore up their major league roster. So they traded this first base prospect to the Padres. They got Adrian Gonzalez back. And a few years later, Anthony Rizzo was making the last out to win the World Series. So, it's a trade, similar trade to one they've made before. But the other two parts of that Rosenthal piece are what gets me. Moving Rafi Devers to first base. I don't think that's an option. It's a lot for a kid at this point in his career, 28 now, to learn first base after he's just kind of finally gotten third base in the last 2 years or so, like really got that down. I think Devers with that body is a DH. And you just need, and I know you hate having an 11-year contract for a DH.
So you're going to pop him.
But I think that's what you got to do. And as the Red Sox know better than most, because of Ortiz's career, you can still get a ton of value
for sure.
at that position.
You were just going to lose, as the Twins found out, any sort of defense over at first or the corners wherever you played them. Yep. But, he did add a lot to those Red Sox teams. And Devers, at least for me, I think is, really needed on that offense still.
And by the way, contracts just keep getting bigger in MLB.
True.
So I say that to say, whatever, halfway through the 11-year contract, it might not look that bad to be paying a DH that much. So I see him as a DH. That's kind of splitting hairs there. The other thing is Alex Bregman. Now, I'll say this. It seems like Rosenthal is just like, hey, hear me out here. But Rosenthal's like one of the most plugged in guys in MLB. Like this is coming from something. This is coming from some sort of rumblings. And I've always liked Bregman as a player. Hated going up against him when the Red Sox would battle those Astros teams. I don't know if now is the time. He's going into the wrong side of 30, and the numbers are going down. The OPS has gone down each of the last 2 years. The OPS plus has gone down each of the last 2 years. The slugging has gone down each of the last 2 years. The on base has gone down dramatically each of the last 2 years. His batting average, which we don't care much about anymore, has gone down the last 2 years. Every meaningful hitting statistic is going down. And he doesn't miss time, is what I should say. He doesn't miss time, which is a good thing. But the way I look at those numbers and the position he's playing and what you're trying to bring in offensively, it's not all that much different from signing Trevor Story 2 years ago. So first off, you already have a guy like that on your books. And second, I think we would see the Trevor Story signing as a failure right now. And it's an unfortunate one because, he can't control that he's getting hurt. He's just been hurt for 2 years. But you look at the reputation and the numbers, and Trevor Story, he wasn't missing many games before that. I'm looking down the list, man. 145, 157, 145, 59 out of 60 in 2020, 142 the year before he signs with the Red Sox. That's the same. That's the same as Bregman. He comes in at the wrong side of 30, or he's 29 when he signs with the Red Sox, and he can't stay healthy after that. It's like a carbon copy signing. And, let's look at the slugging numbers. The last 2 years with Colorado, OPS goes down by over 100 points in 2 years. Slugging goes down by more than 80 points in 2 years. OPS plus goes down by 18 in the final 2 years in Colorado. It's the same shit. Signing Alex Bregman would be the same as signing Trevor Story. And you hope he can be a little bit more healthy, but you So anyway, I think if the Red Sox had a do-over with the Trevor Story signing, they wouldn't do it. You know, the struggles have been through no fault of his own. He hasn't fallen off a cliff offensively. He's just been hurt. So to me, I'd rather stick up from an offensive standpoint with Devers at third. You're going to have Marcelo Maye up probably at the end of next year. That's your shortstop of the future. You've got Trevor Story at second and Tristan Casas at first. I love that infield. But I also understand that this Casas thing is a great opportunity at a trade chip. You know, you're going to have some good young talent coming up in the next few years, like Roman Anthony, like Marcelo Maye, like Kyle Teal, like Christian Campbell. And so you're going to have those guys cheap for a couple of years, and Casas is going to be due up for an extension here soon. That's the way MLB is going. You're not waiting the 6 years on these guys like you used to. You can thank the Atlanta Braves for that. So you actually have a chance to go out and get some real starting pitching. And it's funny. I've seen some comments under the story that is like, why are you going to trade one of your best young players for pitching? Just go out and buy pitching. The Red Sox don't buy anything right now. You think they're going to go out? Pitching doesn't just go to the market all the time. In fact, it did last year. You had a good starting pitcher on the market last year who wanted to come to the Red Sox, and the Red Sox didn't do it. If you want to say it was Scott Boris's fault, like Jordan Montgomery did say, okay, maybe. But the fact is, someone did go out and get him on a 1 or 2 year deal, and it was not the Red Sox. So it's a team that can't develop pitching. They haven't in a long time. And you might have 1 or 2 of those guys in the minors. But if this is what you need to do, this is how the Red Sox have built championship teams in the past. They traded for Chris Sale. You know, they traded for Josh Beckett. They traded for Kurt Schilling. Go out there and get him. It is probably your best trade piece right now of a young guy who's cheap and with a ton of upside. Not a ton of positional versatility, but offensively, he's got a lot of versatility. So I just don't love the Bregman deal. I just think it's like doing Trevor Story again. And, God love him, I wouldn't do the Trevor Story thing again. So I'm down on that deal. I am. But the Red Sox do need to make some moves for starting pitching this offseason. That is without question. But I don't know that you can get Bregman for less than a 5-year deal, and I'm not going there. I'm not going through age 35 there. Where I am going is to the final segment of the Cam Show, where we will have Pete Souza breaking it down, shucking and jiving, couple sports jocks, couple shock jocks, sports guys, just keeping it real on a Friday. That's coming up next. It's the Cam Show. It's Rogue Media Sports Network. It's Pete Souza.
Yo.
Pete, do I have an update for you?
What?
So I called a football game last night, a high school football game. There's typically like one a year that's on a Thursday. And I didn't even realize how much symmetry I was getting. But I have this one China Spring shirt that I really love. I've only worn it to one game. It was a game last year, and I hadn't worn it since because they lost in that game. But it was a Thursday night game. I was wearing the same shirt. And it's Thursday night on the road, and they lost by the same score they did in that Thursday game last year. But, important update, I did not get carjacked on the way home like last year. How about that, huh?
If you guys want to see some or listen to some wild Waco crime stories, Cam and I covered it last 20 minutes yesterday on my show.
I did. I've already retold your story. I told it last night when we were setting up.
That story is ridiculous.
It's unbelievable, man.
Yeah.
Like, that is crazy. I can't believe I hadn't heard that
Sometimes
one.
I look at my dog. I'm like, I'm so happy we're still together.
So Sadie's still there.
Oh,
she's still kicking.
Still great. She's chilling right now. She's like,
awesome.
Yeah, awesome.
It was your girlfriend's birthday yesterday, and you made her drive down here, didn't you?
Because I have to work, and I have volleyball this weekend, and she was free.
Baylor volleyball this weekend?
LSU Samford today
Oh.
at 5, and then Baylor
Wait.
and Samford on Sunday.
Oh, so it's like a mini tournament here?
Yeah.
Oh, it's like, are you going to Birmingham or Baton Rouge?
No, they're doing
Okay.
it. Yeah. So,
Gotcha. I noticed this morning, Pete, I had this weird thing. I mean, it's not totally weird, but I wanted to listen to Tupac on the way here this morning.
Yeah.
And so I started vibing with some Tupac, me and my homies,
It's my favorite song.
And so, it's not mine. So I was listening to some Tupac on the way here, and I realized, because you know how I get with dates, I'm like, it's September 13th. This is the day Tupac died.
Yeah.
It was weird. It was this premonition thing. I didn't think like, oh man, I saw this tribute to Tupac. I'm going to go listen.
By the way, it's worth mentioning, it's Friday the 13th.
Yes.
Too.
Yes.
I think Tupac.
He was
died
shot on the
Saturday.
9th, but
He was shot on the 9th.
Correct.
Okay, gotcha.
you Tupac guy?
Oh, big time.
I thought you would be.
I mean, he was just.
Are you talking into the mic? Are you
Oh, sorry. I mean,
this guy?
amateur.
Fucking amateur, dude. Jesus.
So I am a big Tupac guy. That was my era.
Is that any kind of surprising, Mike? No, it's not.
That was my era.
Sure.
So yeah, and the more I've become even more invested in Tupac as time has gone on, because I view myself as a true underdog in this industry. So I love Hail Mary. That song, like I'll listen to that usually after a game.
Before a volleyball call. Put off yeah. They doubt me, bro.
I listen to Steve Winwood on the way to a call, and then I'll listen to Tupac afterwards if it went well and enjoy it a little bit. But I don't want to act like I'm at the mountaintop before.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I'm not. I just need to just get there.
I used to, for my pump up playlist, when I would go be like just another guy out there on the high school lacrosse field, like nothing special at all. But I would like, for whatever, 45-minute road trip, it would be like 40 minutes of like Lose Yourself, Eminem, like Ghost by Tupac, like some real gangsta, just like that. Jesus, man, what is going on in here? I'd listen to like some real gangsta shit or some, I'm just ignoring it now. Some real, I'd listen to like some real gangsta shit or like Metallica and like really get
Metallica.
And then when I knew we were close, I'd put on Rocky Mountain High by John Denver. Just level me off.
Yeah.
Level me off.
You want to have like some sanity. I mean, it's
Sure.
crazy, but you do. I don't care what position you play or what your role is. You don't want to be out of your mind. At least that's been my experience. Anytime I've been successful.
Yeah. Bill Romanowski, though. He definitely was.
Romo was out of his mind. Yeah.
Boston College.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just thought you'd appreciate that. As you know, I'm a white kid from the suburbs, so I absolutely had a huge gangster rap phase.
Yeah.
I think where it was more beneficial for me than to you, unfortunately, Pete, was I was doing it in like the late aughts, early 2010s. And so at that point,
The late what?
late aughts, like the aughts, like the 2000s, first decade.
I've
Have
never
you not
heard
heard that?
The odds, no.
Yeah. Or the
What's-
knots, the naughties.
What's the derivation of?
I don't fucking know. It's just how you describe the first decade of the 2000s, the aughts.
All right, the odds.
Before the 10s. Comes from the word not. Yeah.
Okay.
Like the naughties. Yeah.
All right, got it. All right.
Now you
I
got
might
it.
use it now that I know what it
fucking
means.
spelling bee here.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
But by that point, we had kind of already had like the like we'd already made fun of the white kids trying to be gangster or trying to be like black kids from the hood.
See, I was that phase.
I know because we
Yeah.
hadn't made fun of that yet. So I was
Yeah.
thinking like Pete's probably got some embarrassing pictures.
I do. Like, I mean, I was never
Like,
too over the
Did you
top.
ever wear a do-rag?
No,
That
no.
would have been so fun.
But I had,
If we
like-
a picture of Pete.
I
with a
had-
do-rag.
I had all the Raiders and Kings gear because
Yeah.
I love the West
Sure.
Coast rap. I mean, I was so into that stuff, and NWA specifically, and then of course like not West Coast, Long Island, but Public Enemy. That era, like Fear of a Black Planet, that album. I mean, as a little kid growing up, I was probably in 7th, 8th grade. I remember somebody gave me the cassette that they dubbed off a CD,
Mhm.
and I remember listening to it, being like, you know, okay, you were doing something which you perceived to be wrong because of the language, and also the content. And as it hit your ears, like it was undeniable how good this stuff was.
Yeah.
So
I
it was
used to,
really cool.
I used to like play it in my driveway, in my suburban driveway, like shooting hoops. Like
I
playing
love it. Me
basketball.
too. Yeah.
And my neighbor, like the mom next door.
Yeah.
She had kids that were way younger than me, and she was like, "You better not be playing this when my kids are out here." I'm playing like fucking NWA, man.
Yeah.
100-pound 8th grade white kid. Oh my god, it was a good time though.
It was a great time.
And
But the NWA ruined my relationship with women though, because
that's interesting.
well,
That's better than the point I was
it
about
wasn't
to make.
NWA's fault at all, but gangster rap in general. I had like a couple experiences.
But you're like, don't make me slap a hoe.
Early in high school, I had experiences. Early in high school, I had experiences where I got dumped just by what happened once, my
Yeah.
freshman year, like my first experience with a female. And I didn't like the way it made me. I was heartbroken, and I hated the way it made me feel. So I turned to gangster rap, and so I almost could disassociate from my feelings. And that's I had a skewed view of women for a while because I just didn't want.
That's so funny.
I didn't want to feel anything. Yeah,
that's so funny, man. I did a list of my favorite songs ever in 8th grade, and I don't like if I hadn't even just told you about that gangster rap phase, I don't think you ever would have guessed what number 1 was. Number 2 was Straight Outta Compton, a place I've never been. I've never even been straight into Compton.
Number 1. I have a t-shirt.
It's a West Coast rap. It is 2 stars from the West Coast. One was in NWA. The other was not.
Deep Cover.
No.
It was a great guess, though.
It was fine.
Deep Cover is one of my favorite songs of all time, and you can't find it on Spotify or iTunes. I'm not quite sure
1,
why.
2, 3 into the foe.
Yeah. Oh, that
Snoop
was it.
Doggy
So I
Dogg
was
and Dr.
close.
Dre is at the dough.
So I was close.
Yeah, you're
right. Yeah. Okay.
Nothing but a G thing.
Nothing but a G thing. Okay.
Nothing but a G thing. Straight Outta Compton. Regulate
Was
and like
Warren G was awesome.
Anything by Tupac, Biggie, Public Enemy.
Yeah.
All of it. Man. You know what I was just thinking of? You know who's the biggest fucking fraud? Like nowadays, rap, it's like middle class. You can get them from Canada. That's not fucking gangster.
Who's a fraud?
But people would say Eminem is a fraud because he was white. But he's not. Man, he was dirt poor.
Yeah.
He's from the fucking hood. He is not a fraud.
By all accounts, yeah.
I'm talking about a guy from fucking Long Island who has been an actor for years now. Ladies love Cool James. LL Cool J, while a talented artist, is a fucking fraud.
I don't think
by trying to be like a gangster rapper early in his career.
Well, he was from Brooklyn, right?
No, he was from Long Island.
Positive on that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
He might have been born in Brooklyn.
Okay.
Which is now a great place to live. But he grew up on Long Island. He was like in some jazz band in high school or something.
Okay.
Like just James Todd Smith. Yeah, that's a gangster rapper right there, man. Origin was Queens.
Okay, Queens. Yeah.
Which is not as hard as as Brooklyn.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. But yeah, grew up in Long Island. Like he went into the city so that he could do some rapping. You know?
Look,
and like
far be it for me to call LL Cool J a fraud. I won't even go there. I think that it's hard. I mean, because you look at how these guys evolve as people, right? Yep. I mean, Ice Cube, LL Cool J, Dr. Dre, like these, they have kids now, so they soften.
Correct. And they're rich, and they've been rich for 30
years.
Very
rich.
I'm saying like at the beginning, he is like, I'm part of this New York rap scene. You wouldn't survive in my hood. And it's like, yes, I fucking would. I would vacation in your hood. Like
Classic Rewind was the hip hop channel on Sirius, channel 43. And they changed it to Rock the Bells radio because LL like bought it or something. And it's never been, I haven't been as into it since. I will say that. LL, look, he's just kind of
looking over the lyrics of here.
Yeah.
You know the song I Can't Live Without My Radio?
Yeah.
Great song. I really love that song.
How can you enjoy the song and still think the guy's a fraud? I struggle with that.
I mean, listen to it. Like, terrorizing my neighbors with the heavy bass. Like the same situation I was in with that neighbor. You know what I mean? That's how he's terrorizing his neighbors. They got to go to fucking work in the morning, okay? I keep the suckers in fear by the look on my face. My radio's bad from the boulevard. I'm a hip-hop gangster and my name is Todd. Man, does that guy have a grill? Like, shit. He's got a couple of lines in there where I just remember, and it was like, I remember him saying, like, you can't survive in my hood kind of thing. And the two people I think of when I hear something like that are LL Cool J and Taylor Swift, which are two people I would survive in their hood.
By the way, I saw something. I saw it. Actually, I won't.
You're not going to say it?
Yeah, well, it's political, but it was just funny, regardless of where you come down
about
on
your dream the other night.
No, it was Taylor Swift. She said, somebody was like, just remember, 90% of Taylor Swift's songs are about choosing the wrong person. If you're,
that's a good call. That is a good call. I have slandered Taylor Swift plenty on this show.
And she's getting, honestly, it's I don't know, man.
I don't think
feel
she's
like,
as big a fraud as LL Cool J. I'll say
no,
that.
she's not a fraud at all. But
Right.
here's what I'll say. As far as her public persona is concerned, I guess she's really feeling it. Like she's in love.
Sure, yeah.
Her confidence is probably higher than ever because regardless of who you are, we talked about it on my show earlier this week with Darby. Aaron Andrews talked about being like super insecure and not feeling confident before the week 1 matchup, right? Before the broadcast.
Yeah.
But Taylor Swift, I think she really is feeling herself more than ever. And like, it's starting to turn me off a little bit. I mean, she doesn't care and nobody else does either, but I'm kind of like, I think it's enough already.
Can I put out a controversial take as well?
Yeah.
I don't think she's hot.
Oh, I think she's objectively pretty.
I
not my type.
don't think she's ugly.
No.
At all.
Yeah.
I just don't think she's hot. Anyway. No, but the thing with Taylor Swift, to me, is no different than a child actor. And you know what they say about like child actors? It's like you forever like emotionally stay the age that you were when you became famous.
Mm-hmm.
Taylor Swift's 15 years old, 16 years old.
But by the way, probably as well as anyone ever has, we've seen her navigate a situation like this.
That's what, I don't think she's a bad person.
No,
by no means, right?
From what I can tell, she's an awesome person.
Yeah, I just like the people that just make that music their personality. It's like you're 30 years old.
Well,
people my age, I'm like,
dude, I know women my
age.
age. I know women my age who went to one concert with their daughter, right, or friend, like over the course of like last summer when the Eras tour started. And then these women, ones that have some dough, they'll like go to different, now they're like, this is my thing. It was such an experience. I'm going to go to shows all over the country now without my kids.
That's weird. Are you seeing like the differences of the two things we've laid out here? Like we were both into gangster rap as white kids from the suburbs.
Yeah, we're morons.
13 years old.
And we're talking about successful women who can travel around and go see Taylor Swift. Like they win.
Are any of them single? I want to know. But like we were kids, man, and like we got out of that. Like I still love listening to that music.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
You're not wearing Raiders gear anymore. No. You know what I mean?
Well, like, actually, I have a jersey in my bag I was going to put on today for the show.
A Raiders jersey?
Yeah.
I won't ask because I want to see it. But it's like you grow up and like you can listen to Taylor Swift, but there are people who still like that's their whole personality. And I'm like, you're 30 years old, man. You're talking about a high school breakup. It's kind of weird that Taylor's still writing about that, to be honest with you.
Well.
Oh, okay. You're just going to show me.
I got to show you.
Going to show me. Oh, my God.
Cruising with the twos, baby.
Where did you get that? China?
That's real. I mean, Matuzak didn't wear it, but this, it's not cheap.
That's not real. How much did you pay for that?
A couple $100.
What? Where did you get it? Mitchell and Ness?
One of those stores. Yeah. Fanatics. Yeah.
Fanatics is bullshit. Fanatics is horseshit. I was hoping it would be my guy, Howie Long.
John Matuzak was the #1 pick in the 1972 draft out of Tampa. How about that?
We should get some music for that whenever Pete drops such a fact bomb like that.
That's think about that.
Yeah, I mean, you used to have him from weird places. Yeah, that won't happen again. Tampa.
I'm just saying the guy was amazing actor. I mean, he was
71 Jim Plunkett then.
I don't know, but I know he was.
That's
72.
correct. That's a Cam Stewart fact bomb.
Yeah,
he went to more of a football school.
But by the way, those that speaks to my Raiders lore. Those are two guys who were washed up and found the Raiders and found incredible careers.
Patriots killed Plunkett, man.
What, one game? Two games? Oh, you mean playing for them? Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Two deaf parents.
Yeah, how about that?
Yeah, amazing.
Never heard
story.
him play.
Yeah.
Jim Plunkett. Fuck the Raiders, man.
I love the Raiders.
That's such a Pete thing.
No, when you get old like me, you just start to have appreciation for stuff. I'm smelling the roses, dude.
Appreciation for that dirty. I keep thinking of the Johnny Most, the way he talked about the Pistons. The dirty, gutless way they do things here. That's the Raiders, man.
They got it done, though.
Ugh. Fuck the Pistons, too.
They gave the Raiders, like the Raiders gave the Pistons the bad boy gear and stuff. That's a lot of that came together.
Well, at least those Pistons won some things. L.A. Raiders in the late 80s when their brand was everywhere.
Yeah.
They weren't exactly getting it done.
When Isaiah got hurt against the Lakers and he messed his ankle up real bad, I know we got to go. He went and got all of his treatment from the LA Raiders, and they took like awesome care of him. I'm just
good for them.
Yeah,
good for them.
Good for
Pete, you're coming up at 1.
Yeah, 1 o'clock.
I'm gonna be on that.
Yep.
Can't wait, man.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk some fun
Well,
stuff.
we got a survivor pool. We got week 2.
Is that gonna be my segment, picking the survivors?
No. We'll
okay,
be part
good.
of it.
I don't want to waste our time together.
Okay.
You know, it's like scheduling Red Sox Yankees on opening day. You're gonna get a great crowd opening day anyway. Why would you take a great crowd from another one? Well, the survivor pool is great and everything. But I don't want it interfering with our banter. Okay. I'm putting that request in there. Thank you, Pete. Thank you, Zach. I'm not gonna say it. Pete says it every time. Zach is on the regular wheels of metal.
The wheels of steel.
Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back on Monday breaking down a 2-0 New England Patriots team on the Cam Show powered by Rogue Media Sports Network. We'll see you then.